Valentine's Day fell on a Saturday, and I got a sudden urge to head to my husband's workplace to wait for him to finish his shift. I wanted to spend a romantic Valentine's Day together. But as soon as I reached the door of his office, I heard a girl's cloying voice inside. "Finn, it's pouring rain outside. Can you give me a lift home after work? It'll be on your way, won't it?" Finn Joe replied flatly, "Our places are in opposite directions. How could that possibly be on my way?" Clearly caught off guard by his bluntness, the girl pressed on, "My place is really close. It'll only take you 20 minutes to drive me there. Please, Finn. Just this once." Without waiting for Finn to respond, she fired off another round of remarks. "Are you worried your wife will mind, Finn? All the girls around me are super laid back about these things. I'm sure your wife isn't that petty, right?" The more I listened, the more annoyed I got. Was she implying I was being unreasonable? What a conniving little minx. My temper flared and I was just about to kick the door open when Finn spoke again. "If your place is really that close, why don't you just take a taxi? Why are you asking me to drive you? I'm not a ride-hailing driver. Besides, a 20-minute drive isn't exactly close. It only takes me 15 minutes to get home to my wife. And for the record, my wife isn't petty at all. It's me who can't wait to get home to her after work. I'm going to cook her dinner." The girl launched into another round of her dramatic act. "Ugh, a guy as amazing as you, Finn, your wife should be cherishing you like you're a treasure. I can't believe you work so hard all day and still have to go home and cook for her. It feels like you've spoiled your wife rotten. My heart aches for you, Finn. If I ever got to marry a husband as handsome and amazing as you, I'd definitely have dinner ready and waiting for him every single day after work." Finn's voice sounded even colder than before as he retorted, "What's wrong with spoiling my own wife? She's mine to dote on, isn't she?" "Oh no, Finn. Don't be mad at me. I was just saying that because I feel so bad for you. I have this friend, her wife is so capable. She takes care of the kids all by herself, does all the laundry, cooks all the meals, handles all the chores and even commutes to work alone. She never asks her husband for a single thing. Compared to your wife, she's just so independent, don't you think?" Finn let out a sharp snort. "Where I come from, a woman like your friend is called a widow. Besides, I didn't marry my wife to be my maid, someone to cook, clean and raise kids for me. I married her because I want to cherish her for the rest of my life, to grow old with her. And for the record, my wife is way more amazing than I am. Everyone in my family says I don't deserve her. Cooking her one meal is nothing. I'd be happy to cook for her every single day for the rest of my life. I'm so jealous of your wife. If only I'd met you sooner, Finn, I wouldn't have had to go through so much pain and suffering." I shuddered all over, breaking out in goosebumps. I felt like I was about to throw up. Just then I heard Finn's voice laced with confusion. "What do you have to be jealous of? You're not even my type." With that, Finn turned around and before he walked out he added in a stern no-nonsense tone, "Piper Chow, from now on don't call me Finn. Call me Dr. Zhou or Professor Zhou. I don't want my wife to get the wrong idea." I struggled to hold back my laughter, my shoulders shaking uncontrollably. Finn pulled the door open and I glanced past him at the girl named Piper Chow. Her face was a kaleidoscope of colors, embarrassment, anger and humiliation all tangled together. When Finn saw me standing outside the door, his originally calm, distant eyes lit up like stars in an instant. "Honey, what are you doing here? Did you come to pick me up from work? I'm so happy." It was no wonder Finn was so excited. To be honest, I'd never actually come to pick him up from work before. On the contrary, whenever Finn had a day off, he always made sure to drive me to and from work. Seeing that I wasn't saying anything, he quickly took my hand in his. "Honey, wait for me 2 minutes, okay? I just need to change my clothes and then we can go." As he spoke, his bright, shining eyes locked onto mine. Even after 2 years of marriage, I still couldn't resist that devastatingly handsome face of his. And when he looked at me with that big puppy dog expression, I was completely done for. So even though his straight man antics sometimes drove me up the wall, it never stopped me from being utterly captivated by his good looks. I looked away, then nodded. "Okay, go on. I'll wait for you." A smile tugged at the corner of Finn's lips as he headed toward the staff locker room. Inside the office, Piper Chow watched Finn leave, her face twisting into a look of pure shock and disbelief. I smoothed down my ash-gray wavy curls, then smiled at her. "Sorry about that. He's always like this, total clingy sap. Hope I didn't embarrass you. Instead of calming down, the girl's expression turned even uglier. She shot me a venomous glare. A guy as amazing as Finn? You don't deserve him at all. I raised an eyebrow. This girl's unprovoked hostility was really starting to get on my nerves. I crossed my arms over my chest, then looked her up and down slowly. Sweetheart, do you live by the sea? She froze, completely caught off guard by my question. What do you mean by that? Then she lifted her chin proudly. I don't live by the sea. I live in a huge villa in the city center. I curled my lips into a smirk. What a stupid, conceited little gold digger. Oh, I just thought you lived by the sea because you seemed to like minding everyone else's business so much. It finally hit her that she'd been mocked and her face turned bright red with anger. You. Wah. Sister, I'm so sorry. Please don't misunderstand me. If you don't want Finn to drive me home, I won't ask him to. You don't have to humiliate me like this, do you? Finn is my senior and he's also my mentor at work. That's why we have to work together so often. Please don't get the wrong idea. Wah. Me. What in the world was she on about now? I was just about to speak up when someone suddenly took my hand in theirs. Honey. Finn had already changed his clothes and come back out. So that's why Piper had suddenly put on that dramatic show. She was doing it all for Finn to see. I had to fight back a laugh, but at the same time, I was dying to see how my straight-laced husband would handle this situation. So I deliberately pulled my hand out of Finn's grasp. Then I put on a fake angry expression. When Finn saw this, his bright, sparkling eyes dimmed instantly, and he looked like he was about to burst into tears. Honey, what's wrong? Did I do something to upset you? Then he turned to the girl standing opposite us, his expression darkening in the blink of an eye. His voice was cold and sharp as he said, Piper Shaw, what exactly are you talking about? When did I ever say I was going to drive you home? I told you to take a taxi, didn't I? And what humiliation are you talking about? My wife would never humiliate someone for no reason. If she did say something to you, then you must have done something to provoke her first. With that, he turned back to me, his face filled with anxiety as he took my hand again. Honey, listen to me. I never even considered driving her home. I swear. She's an intern the director assigned to me. Even though we went to the same medical school, I didn't even know her before this. I watched as Piper Zhao's face turned into a complete rainbow of colors, red, white, and green all mixed together in a perfect picture of embarrassment. I struggled to hold back my laughter, then gently scratched the palm of Finn's hand. I know. Sco. Don't waste our nice evening on unnecessary things. A huge smile spread across Finn's face as he nodded eagerly. Okay, honey. He held my hand tightly as we walked out of the office. Just as we reached the door, he turned back and added, Piper Shaw, tomorrow I'll talk to the director and ask him to reassign you to a different mentor. I glanced over my shoulder and caught sight of Piper Zhao's face, now a lovely shade of green and white. I almost burst out laughing right then and there. In the car, Finn kept stealing glances at me. I pretended not to notice. He parted his lips a few times, then finally mustered up the courage to ask, Honey, are you still mad at me? I'm sorry. Next time the director assigns me an intern, I'll make sure it's a guy, not a girl. Promise. Honey, please talk to me. Don't stay mad at me alone, okay? To be honest, I had been a little annoyed at first. But after what happened back in the office, all that annoyance had completely melted away. I turned to look at Finn. Do you know what day it is today? When Finn realized I was finally talking to him, his eyes lit up with joy and a smile spread across his face. Today is Valentine's Day. You actually remembered? Asked surprised. Well, I didn't at first. But I heard one of my colleagues mention it during surgery this afternoon. That's how I found out. I sighed inwardly. Of course he hadn't remembered on his own. Finjo? Remember a holiday like Valentine's Day? He couldn't even remember our wedding anniversary half the time, let alone Valentine's Day. But when I saw the tiredness and dark circles under his eyes, I decided not to tease him about it anymore. Honey, I'm sorry. I should have been there to spend the day with you. I checked the time then smiled. It's okay. We still have the whole night ahead of us to celebrate. Honey, let's go watch a movie, okay? I have the day off tomorrow so we can stay up late tonight. No rush at all. The thought of watching a movie with Finn made me instantly lose interest. I remembered all those times when we were dating. Every time we went to the movies he'd fall sound asleep halfway through the film. I shook my head. I don't really feel like watching a movie. Then what do you want to do, honey? Just tell me and I'll do it with you. Anything you want. Suddenly I had a thought. It had been ages since I'd gone karaoke singing. Back in college, I'd been the undisputed karaoke queen of my dorm. So for Valentine's Day tonight I wanted to go singing with Finn. But I also wanted to act a little shy and reserved in front of him. So I said, Finn Joe, I want to go karaoke singing. But I'm afraid I'll sound terrible. I'll be so embarrassed. To my surprise, Finn agreed without a second thought. It's okay, honey. I won't laugh at you. And I won't even watch you sing, I promise. I didn't quite understand what he meant at first until we got to the karaoke bar. Finn took care of everything, then handed me the microphone. Then he turned around, pulled the door open and stood outside in the hallway. That's when I finally got what he meant by not watching me sing. There I stood holding the microphone in my hand, staring at Finn's figure standing guard outside the door. I couldn't help but want to curse him out. And to make things even better, the idiot had the nerve to call out to me in a sweet, considerate tone, Honey, don't be nervous. Sing your heart out. I'll be right here with you the whole time, okay? Me. And just like that, our perfect romantic Valentine's Day turned into me singing my heart out alone inside the karaoke room, while Finn Joe stood guard outside like a loyal security guard. Once we got home, Finn Joe turned to me and asked, Honey, did you have a good time tonight? I gritted my teeth and replied, Thanks, it was great. To my disbelief, Finn looked like a huge weight had been lifted off his shoulders. That's a relief. I'm just glad you're not mad at me anymore. He leaned in and kissed my forehead, then perked up and said, Honey, I'm gonna go take a shower now. Me. Wait, that's it? Today was Valentine's Day, for crying out loud. Was Finn really just gonna call it a night like that? And which part of me looked not mad to him exactly? The more I thought about it, the angrier I got, my mood plummeting to rock bottom. I made up my mind not to talk to this infuriating man for the next 2 days. Grabbing my pajamas, I headed to the guest bedroom to take a shower. When I came out, Finn was already fast asleep, his arms stretched out in the usual position, as if waiting to pull me into his embrace. But unlike every other night, I had no intention of snuggling up to him. The next morning I woke up to find the bed next to me cold and empty. A wave of unexplained sadness washed over me, tightening my chest. I reached out for my phone on the nightstand, and that's when I noticed a beautiful gold necklace around my wrist, one I hadn't been wearing before. So what if he bought me a peace offering? I was still not happy. Moping, I got up and changed my clothes. When I went downstairs, I found Finn Joe in the kitchen wearing an apron and stirring something in a pot. Hearing my footsteps, he immediately put down his spoon and hurried over to me. Honey, why didn't you sleep in a little longer? I made your favorite black chicken soup. You have to taste it later and tell me if it's good, okay? He took my hand and led me to the sofa, gently pushing me to sit down. You've been working so hard these past few days. Sit here and watch TV for a bit, dinner will be ready in no time. Seeing that I still wasn't saying anything, panic flickered in his eyes. Honey, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell somewhere? As he spoke, he placed his hand on my forehead to check my temperature. No fever. But the second he pulled his hand back, I spotted 3 or 4 bright red scratch marks on the back of his pale, strong hand. They looked positively glaring. What happened to your hand? At my question, he quickly hid his hand behind his back, avoiding my gaze. It's nothing, just a little scrape from being clumsy, that's all. Trying to change the subject, he rambled on. Honey, I also made steamed pork with rice flour and sea bass. The fish was super fresh. Finn Joe, you'd better tell me the truth. Right now. What really happened? Seeing how serious I looked, Finn sighed and mumbled, I'm sorry, honey. Don't be mad, please. I'll tell you. I went to a friend's chicken coop this morning to catch a chicken for your soup. I accidentally got scratched by one of the chickens. It's really nothing, I promise. I'm a doctor after all, you can trust me on this. Show me your hand. With me still wearing a stern expression, Finn reluctantly held out his hand, his movements cautious. Honey, it's truly fine. Just a couple of minor scratches, that's all. But when I saw those deep, shocking red gashes crisscrossing the back of his hand, my eyes couldn't help but fill with tears. Finn Joe, this is what you call minor scratches? Do you have any idea how many bacteria are on a chicken? With wounds this deep you could get a terrible infection. As I spoke, tears streamed down my face, dripping onto my clothes before I could stop them. Finn panicked, rushing to wipe my tears away with his sleeve, his movements clumsy and frantic. "Honey, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Don't cry please. I really am okay, I disinfected the wounds right away. They look scarier than they actually are, I swear. Really, don't cry anymore. I don't know what to do when you cry like this." Wah. Finjo, you jerk. You're always like this. Wah. Yes. I'm a jerk. I'm stupid. I'm the worst. Honey, please don't be sad anymore, okay? Please. Finn pulled me into his arms, patting my back gently over and over again, his voice soft and soothing. In the living room, I was busy disinfecting those shocking scratch marks on Finn's hand. "Finjo, what time did you get up to go to your friend's chicken coop this morning?" "A little after 5. For a moment I didn't know what to say. This man might be a total straight-laced guy, lacking in romance and unable to say sweet, mushy things, but his actions always spoke louder than his words. It had been like this ever since we started dating. When it came to me, he was always so attentive. He might never remember all those fancy holidays, but he would always go out of his way to fulfill every single one of my wishes. "Honey, I'm sorry I couldn't properly celebrate Valentine's Day with you yesterday." He was apologizing for falling asleep during our date night. Looking at the man in front of me, his eyes shadowed with dark circles from exhaustion, all the lingering anger in my heart vanished completely. After lunch, Finn asked me what I wanted to do. I told him I hadn't gone shopping in ages and wanted to browse around. He agreed without a moment's hesitation. "Yeah, you definitely need some new clothes. Winter's coming soon after all." To go out, I even put on a nice, careful makeup look. At the mall, Finn sat on the sofa waiting for me while I tried on clothes. The saleswoman was super enthusiastic, showing me all kinds of different styles from their store. When I walked out of the fitting room wearing the 8th outfit I'd tried on that day, I turned to Finn on the sofa and asked, "Finjo, what do you think of this one?" Finn looked up at me with his dark, earnest eyes and said, "This one looks really nice too." I finally lost my patience, my temper flaring. "Finjo, tell me exactly how it looks nice. Be specific." Seeing that I was angry, Finn jumped to his feet instantly, standing up straight and looking serious as he replied, "The color looks nice." I looked down at the obviously unflattering purple suit I was wearing, my mood sinking to a new low. "Finjo, were you even paying attention at all?" Realizing I was truly upset, he started to panic, looking completely at a loss. "Honey, don't be mad. If you don't like this one, we don't have to buy it. I'll tell the sales lady to put it back right away, okay?" With a cold expression, I turned and walked back into the fitting room to change into my own clothes. "I don't want to shop anymore. Let's go home. I'm tired." Finn asked cautiously, his voice soft. "Honey, did you like any of the clothes you tried on earlier?" Still feeling petty, I snapped, "No. I didn't like any of them. I'm not buying anything. Let's go home." "Oh. Okay then." Watching Finn act like this, I felt a surge of frustration mixed with sadness, my chest tightening. Home. On the way back, Finn kept trying to talk to me, but I refused to answer him. I didn't say a single word to him, not even after we got home. For dinner, Finn made my favorite braised pork, but since I was still in a bad mood, I had no appetite and barely ate anything. Still angry, I went to bed early. I had no idea what time Finn finally went to sleep. The next morning, I woke up to find that Finn had already left for work. In the kitchen, my favorite preserved egg and lean pork porridge was still warm, waiting for me. In the living room, there was a pile of shopping bags. Curious, I walked over to check, and inside those 7 or 8 bags were all the clothes I'd tried on at the mall yesterday. Staring at the mountain of clothes, I could just imagine Finn sneaking back to the store after I'd fallen asleep to buy every single item for me. My eyes felt a little prickly with unshed tears. I'd known he was a total straight-laced guy ever since we started dating. Now picking on him for being this way seemed really unfair to him. So I picked up my phone, planning to give him a call to apologize. The phone rang and rang, but no one answered. I figured Finn must be in the middle of a surgery. Just as I was about to hang up, someone picked up on the other end. "Hello. Who's calling, please?" It was a girl's voice. Why did that voice sound so familiar? Then it hit me, it was that conniving little minx I'd met the other day when I went to pick Finn up from work. Why on earth was she answering Finjo's phone? Keeping my voice calm and steady, I said, This is Mabel Gu, Finjo's wife. Oh. So it's sister-in-law. Fin isn't here right now. If you have anything to say you can tell me and I'll pass the message along to him later. I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. Heh, thanks a lot, little sister, but what I have to say to Finjo isn't something I'm willing to share with a complete stranger. Also, it's extremely rude to touch someone else's phone without permission. Has no one ever taught you to know your place, little sister? With that, I hung up the phone without caring what Piper Xiao thought on the other end. I trusted Finjo 100%, but I really couldn't stand the sight of Piper Xiao flouncing around and trying to act all cute around him. So I put on a delicate, flawless makeup look and decided to go to Fin's hospital to have lunch with him. But I waited and waited from 10 o'clock in the morning all the way until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, before I finally saw Finjo walking out, looking utterly exhausted. When he spotted me, all the tiredness vanished from his eyes in an instant. He clearly hadn't expected me to come looking for him on my own initiative. Honey. Why you're here? What are you doing here? Why? Does Dr. Zhou not want me here? Or are you afraid I'll disturb you and your little junior sister? Of course not, honey. I'm so happy you came to see me. I thought you were still mad at me, that you didn't want to talk to me anymore. I don't mentor Piper Xiao anymore, not at all. We're not even teacher and student anymore. As he spoke, he hung his head looking so dejected and wrong that I almost felt bad for teasing him. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed several of Fin's colleagues staring at us in surprise. I quickly tugged on his sleeve and said, "Come on, let's go get some lunch together." At my words, he suddenly lifted his head, his eyes lighting up like stars. Okay. Wait for me just 2 minutes, honey. Beside us, several of Fin's coworkers were snickering, grinning at us with obvious teasing. Feeling a little embarrassed, I blushed and nodded at them, then quickly walked toward the elevator. Even from a distance, I could hear them whispering among themselves. Wow. I can't believe it. The notoriously cold and serious Dr. Zhou is actually such a whipped husband. That's not being whipped, that's being head over heels in love, obviously. Didn't you see how his eyes lit up the second he saw his wife? It was like night turning into day. Tell me about it. He just finished 7 or 8 hours of back-to-back surgeries. He looked completely drained of energy. But the second he saw her, he perked up like he'd just had a shot of adrenaline. Hey, did you guys hear? Dr. Zhou seemed to be in a really bad mood today. He had a permanent scowl on his face during surgery. Rumor has it he even yelled at a couple of his students until they cried. It's totally understandable though. Dr. Zhou has way too many surgeries on his plate. I mean, he was called in to work overtime on Valentine's Day, for crying out loud. He did 6 surgeries in a row that day. Anyone would be on edge after that. Exactly. With such a high-intensity workload and having to deal with a bunch of unruly students, it's a miracle he hasn't lost his mind yet. I don't think Dr. Zhou is the type to take his work stress out on other people though. If you ask me, the only thing that could make him lose his cool like that is relationship trouble. Maybe it really did have something to do with his wife. Shh. Stop talking. Get back to work before we get caught. So that's what it was. He'd actually performed surgery back-to-back for hours that day, and still felt guilty for not being able to spend Valentine's Day with me. Exhausted and half asleep, he'd woken up at 5 the next morning just to catch a chicken and make soup for me. And I'd been upset with him for falling asleep on our date. At that moment, a wave of guilt washed over me, overwhelming my heart completely. I was staring blankly at the emergency exit sign in the stairwell, my eyes red-rimmed, when Finjo found me, having changed his clothes. Honey, I'm all set. My shift ends in an hour and a half. They told me not to rush back, we can take our time with lunch and then I can go shopping with you afterwards. His words suddenly trailed off, his voice laced with panic. Honey, what's wrong? Why are you crying? I'd been holding it together until he spoke. The second he asked, my heart felt like it was breaking and tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. Finjo truly panicked now. Honey, don't cry. Tell me what's wrong, okay? Talk to your husband. He fumbled in his bag for a tissue, pulling out a crumpled handful to wipe my tears away, his movements frantic and clumsy. Are you still mad at me? Is that it? I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. Please don't cry anymore, okay? I sniffled, looking up at him through teary eyes. You said you were wrong. What exactly did you do wrong? Where did you mess up? He froze, his face going stiff with uncertainty, then mumbled cautiously, "I shouldn't have said that purple suit looked nice." I couldn't help but snort, a laugh escaping my lips despite the tears. Of course. I shouldn't have expected anything more from this hopelessly straight-laced man. Truth be told, I wasn't angry at all anymore. The second I'd found out how hard he'd tried to balance his work and me, how he'd gone out of his way to be with me despite everything, I'd let go of all my frustration. If anything, I was the one at fault. I'd always complained that he wasn't romantic enough, that he couldn't say the right things to soothe me. Even when he tried to apologize, he'd only manage awkward lines like, "I was wrong, don't be mad." But so what? He was cold and distant with everyone else, yet he turned into a flustered mess whenever I was upset. He maintained strict boundaries with other women, never once making me feel insecure. He always put me first no matter what. This was my Finjo, someone I should cherish with all my heart. When Finjo saw me laugh, a huge wave of relief washed over his face. "You're laughing. Does that mean you're not mad at me anymore?" "Who said I was mad in the first place?" He scratched the back of his head, looking confused. "Then why were you crying just now?" I threw myself into his arms, hugging the man in front of me tightly, and gently punched his chest. "You dummy." He chuckled, wrapping his arms around me. "Yeah, I'm a dummy. As long as you're not sad anymore, that's all that matters." During lunch, I brought up the incident with Piper Shaw answering his phone that morning. The second I mentioned it, Finjo's expression turned serious, like he was facing a formidable enemy. "Honey, I swear I'm innocent. Please don't misunderstand. I left my phone in the office when I went into surgery. I had no idea Piper Shaw would answer it without permission. This is unacceptable. I need to talk to the director, tell him to take Piper Shaw off my team immediately." With that, he reached for his phone, ready to make the call on the spot. I quickly stopped him, grabbing his arm. "Hey, don't bother. It's fine, really. I never took her seriously in the first place. Besides, do you really think I'd believe you'd ever do anything with her? Of course not, honey. I only love you. In this lifetime, there's no one else I'll ever love but you." I watched him as he looked like he was about to swear on his life, and couldn't help but laugh. All right, I get it. Let's just drop it, okay? But she keeps doing things to make you misunderstand me. She's so annoying." I raised an eyebrow, smirking. "Why? Do you think your wife is some soft pushover who gets provoked easily?" He shook his head vigorously, his eyes earnest. "Of course not. My wife is the strongest, most amazing woman in the world. Me." Well, Finjo's blind faith in me was as unshakable as ever. When we got home that night, Finjo acted like an overeager teenager, pulling me into his arms for a passionate embrace. Afterward, he held me close, sated as we lay in bed together. "Honey, I need to tell you something." I was exhausted from his antics, my voice slurred with sleep as I replied. "What is it?" "That friend of yours, Nora Song, the one we had dinner with the other day? I think you should strike her off your friend list." "What happened?" "When you went to the restroom that night, she added me on WeChat." I stroked his cheek, amused. "Honey, it's just a WeChat request. No need to look so horrified." He kissed my lips softly, his voice tinged with annoyance. "Silly wife, it wasn't just that. She kept messaging me, complaining non-stop about how bad her relationship with her boyfriend was." At that, all traces of drowsiness vanished from me. "She did that? Seriously?" "Absolutely. It was so random. I don't even know her boyfriend, why was she telling me all that?" "I didn't want to turn her down in front of all our friends, especially since she's your pal. I thought it would be rude. But she just wouldn't stop pestering me." "Honey, what else did she do to make you so mad?" "She kept touching me, patting my shoulder, my thigh like it was no big deal. I wasn't even telling any jokes. Was that really necessary? On top of that, when she talked to me, she got so close her ear was practically in my ear canal. If she wasn't your friend, I would have lost my temper right then and there. And don't even get me started on the way she called me brother. What the hell? I don't have such a shameless little sister." My heart sank, a dull ache settling in my chest. I felt hurt, betrayed even. Nora Song had always been one of my closest friends. We weren't in the same major, but we'd worked together in the student union during our junior year of college, and that's how we'd bonded. After graduation, she'd gotten a job at a state-owned enterprise, while I worked at a foreign company. We'd always kept in touch, meeting up for meals and hangouts regularly. I'd never imagined she'd go behind my back and hit on Finjo like that. I looked at Finjo, who still looked thoroughly annoyed, and felt a twinge of embarrassment. Honey, why didn't you tell me about this sooner? At the mention of that, Finjo looked even more wronged, his lower lip sticking out in a pout. You were having so much fun drinking, singing your heart out. You didn't care one bit about some random woman hitting on your husband. I wanted to come sit with you, but you pushed me away. You said I was ruining your vibe, that I was cramping your style, and told me to sit on the other side of the table. The more Finjo talked, the more upset he got. By the end, the corners of his eyes were red with frustration. I suddenly felt like the worst wife in the world. Okay, I'm sorry, honey. I really was drunk that night. I had no idea any of this was happening. Forgive me, please. I'm so hurt too. I never thought Nora would turn out to be that kind of person. Finjo pulled me into a gentle hug, his voice softening. It's okay, baby. I'm not mad at you. I could never be mad at you. I know how much you value your friends, and I know this hurts. But honey, even the closest friendships have to be earned. Some people just aren't worth your tears. Nora Song is one of those people. She doesn't deserve to be your friend. From now on, if you can't tell who's a real friend and who's not, I'll help you figure it out. I'll think of all the things you might miss. As long as I'm here, I'll always protect you. Listening to his sincere, straightforward words, my nose felt stuffy and tears slipped down my cheeks silently. I know, honey. Thank you. Somehow my quiet sobs seemed to set something off in Finjo. He pinned me beneath him, loving me all over again, slow and deep, until I was breathless. I cried and begged him to stop, but he only hushed me with soft kisses, his voice low and husky in my ear. Be good for me, baby. The more you beg, the more I want to have my way with you. Me. Damn it, Finjo, you absolute jerk. I was drifting in and out of sleep when I heard a phone ringing somewhere nearby. But I was so exhausted from his relentless lovemaking that I couldn't even open my eyes, let alone figure out whose phone it was. The next morning I woke up miraculously before Finjo. I reached for his phone, planning to check the time, but what I saw instead was his chat history with a contact named Xiao Xiao Bunny. Xiao Xiao Bunny, Finjo, Xiao Xiao Bunny, Xiao Xiao Bunny, Xiao Xiao Bunny, Xiao Xiao Bunny, Finjo, Xiao Xiao Bunny, Xiao Xiao Bunny, Finjo, Xiao Xiao Bunny, Finjo, Xiao Xiao Bunny, Xiao Xiao Bunny. Finjo, Xiao Xiao Bunny, Xiao Xiao Bunny, Finjo, Xiao Xiao Bunny, Finjo, Xiao Xiao Bunny, Finjo, Xiao Xiao Bunny, Finjo, Xiao Xiao Bunny. I looked at the man sleeping soundly beside me, then back at the chat history. I could perfectly picture the look on Piper Zhao's face right then, like a kaleidoscope of embarrassment, anger, and utter defeat. Finjo was truly a diamond-level master at shutting down scheming girls. With this kind of combat power, no amount of green tea manipulation stood a chance against him. How had I never realized before that his straight-laced personality was actually this lethal? I made up my mind right then and there. From now on, if I ever ran into another scheming woman like this again, I'd bring Finjo along with me. Guaranteed to make them so angry they'd spit blood in less than 3 minutes flat. As for Nora Song, let's just say I'd been blind. But Finjo had already avenged me in his own way. I'd never speak to her again. Before long, Finjo's formidable ability to shut down drama was put to the test yet again. I had the day off and Fin told me his mom had called, asking us to come home for a meal. The Zhous were locals, his parents were typical urban village residents who'd struck it rich with a demolition payout. When we first started dating, his folks hadn't exactly been thrilled with me. But as we spent more time together, their fondness for me grew by leaps and bounds. Nowadays they loved me even more than they loved Fin. So much so that every time we visited, Fin was treated like an afterthought. In the car, I turned to Fin and asked, "Honey, are Mom and Dad really just asking us over for a simple meal?" He shook his head, looking just as clueless as I felt. "Beats me. I guess so." The drive from downtown to the Zhou household should have taken an hour and a half. But thanks to the city's brutal traffic, we ended up spending 2.5 hours on the road. When Fin and I finally arrived, his parents were waiting at the door. But standing right beside them was a girl in a frilly white dress. Spotting Fin, the girl broke into a smile and greeted him cheerfully. "Cousin. So this is my cousin-in-law? Wow, I never knew cousin-in-law wore makeup. No wonder she's so fair-skinned. Unlike me, I never wear a single drop. Always au naturel. Before I could even open my mouth to respond, Finn spoke up, his tone matter-of-fact. No wonder you're so tanned then. My wife looks gorgeous even without makeup. She just knows how to take care of herself. Look at my face, isn't it a whole shade lighter than yours? That's because my wife makes me wear sunscreen every single day. You're a 24-year-old girl. If you don't start taking better care of your skin, you'll never get married. The color drained from the girl's face instantly, leaving her looking green with embarrassment. Cousin, how can you say that to me? I was just being honest, I didn't think of cousin-in-law as an outsider. You don't have to be so mean about it. Oh, sorry about that, Finn shot back, feigning innocence. Since you're my cousin, I didn't think of you as an outsider either. Just being honest, that's all. Finn still had my hand in his, so I took the chance to step in and play peacemaker. Darling, come on. Your cousin was just being friendly, she sees me as family, that's why she said that. If it were anyone else, she probably would have said something even harsher. Don't be so hard on her. At my words, Finn gave my palm a gentle squeeze. I caught a faint, proud smile tugging at the corner of his lips. Like he was silently praising me for playing along. Me. Finn's parents, who'd been listening in the whole time, quickly jumped in, pulling me into their arms. Mabel's right. We're all family here, no need to quarrel over silly little things. Willow. Quick, go bring out the food and set the table. We'll start eating right away. Your cousin and cousin-in-law must be exhausted from the drive. Oh, and that black chicken soup you made, your cousin-in-law's favorite. Finn's mom added, then turned to Willow with a smile. You were just saying we're all family, weren't you? Since family doesn't keep score over trivial stuff, am I right? Willow stamped her foot in frustration, then turned on her heel and stormed into the kitchen, defeated. Watching her retreating figure, I felt a wave of satisfaction wash over me, my mood instantly lifting. Who would have thought? Finn's talent for shutting down drama was actually genetic. Finn pulled all the gifts from the trunk and handed them to his dad. Mom, Dad, these are from Mabel. She picked them out specially for you too. I stood beside him listening and nearly did a double take. Those gifts had been Finn's idea, not mine. He told me about them so late last night that there'd been no time to buy anything new. I'd originally planned to pick up some presents this morning, but Finn had insisted it wasn't necessary. Still, kudos to him for thinking on his feet. Showing up empty-handed would have been so awkward. After all, every time we came to visit, Finn's car was always stuffed to the brim with gifts for his parents. Finn's mom immediately waved her hand dismissively, pulling me closer and patting my arm affectionately. Oh, Mabel, you shouldn't have. Next time just come as you are. We're just happy to have you home, that's all that matters. At the dinner table, Finn kept piling food onto my plate, even going so far as to debone a chicken drumstick before putting it in front of me. His mom was just as attentive, urging me to eat more. Mabel, try this soft-shelled turtle soup. It's so nourishing. Look how thin you've gotten, you need to fatten yourself up a bit. For a moment, the atmosphere at the table was warm and harmonious. I smiled and nodded gratefully. Thank you, Mom. Just then, the girl sitting across from me spoke up again, her tone dripping with fake concern. Cousin-in-law, don't you feel bad? My cousin's hands have saved countless lives in the operating room. And here you are making him peel shrimp and debone chicken drumsticks for you. I sat back and watched her little performance, a faint, amused smile playing on my lips, waiting to see how Finn would shut this down. Sure enough, the second Willow song finished speaking, Finn opened his mouth, his voice calm but sharp. If my hands are skilled enough to perform surgery on human beings, what's so hard about performing a little surgery on a chicken leg or a few shrimp? You're 24 years old and you're actually proud that no one's ever peeled shrimp for you? Auntie. Willow whined, turning to Finn's mom for help. Look what my cousin's saying. I was just worried about his hands. If they get injured, how will he ever operate on his patients again? Willow dear, Finn's mom replied, her tone sweet but her words cutting. I was just thinking after dinner, we'd take your cousin-in-law out for a little stroll and buy her some snacks. We were going to leave your cousin at home to wash the dishes. But now that you've reminded us how precious his hands are, well, I guess you'll just have to wash the dishes instead. After all, dish soap is so harsh on the skin, isn't it? I stared at the girl across from me, her face frozen in a mask of shock and disbelief, and buried my head in my bowl, struggling to hold back my laughter. I was this close to losing it. It wasn't until after dinner, when Finn took my hand and led me out of the courtyard, that I finally let loose, laughing so hard my sides hurt. Finn, however, looked completely confused, tilting his head and asking me, "Honey, why are you laughing so hard just because I peeled shrimp for you? If it makes you this happy, I'll make shrimp for you every single day from now on, okay?" Me. Is he really that clueless? I wasn't laughing because of the shrimp. I was laughing because I just scored 2 powerful new allies in my war against drama queens. From now on, I decided whenever my company had a team-building event, I wouldn't just bring Finn along, I'd bring his mom too. After all, what fun would a drama queen showdown be without my 2 secret weapons by my side?